tuned to the source, 1280 KIT. Moments ago, we had a conversation with Joe Bursic, our county prosecutor. His take was his meeting with the folks from Selah went pretty well. That the things, I think both sides were able to clarify and explain a little bit. That's his take. We have Administrator Don Wayman on the line.
Oh, good.
We'll get the Selah point of view here. Don, good morning. Thanks for calling us.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. How'd it go?
Well, I have to agree with Mr. Bursic. We had a very civil meeting and a good exchange of views. And before I go anywhere, I would like to tell everybody that's listening and tell your friends, this is a good man. Joe Brusic's a good man. He represents the county very well, and we have a great amount of respect for him.
Wow.
Well said.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
So the chicken heads weren't from you, Don. Is that what we're saying?
No, absolutely not. He's a law and order man, a law and order fellow, and we respect that. But we diverged a little bit, maybe significantly, I guess, from another point of view,
Sure.
and how we're approaching this. We had just right at the end of our conversation, he and I had very few exchanges. Our attorney did most of the talking, but the basic disagreement we have is on how civil disobedience can occur. Mm-hmm. I asked him this question. I said, so if the governor decided to quarter troops in my house, I couldn't by myself determine that was unconstitutional? And he said, no, a court needs to do that. Well, that's where we diverge. At some point, it becomes self-evident that your constitutional rights are being usurped. That's my position,
right.
And that's where Rob Case was coming from, and the mayor of Selah. We see the governor taking incredible liberties with the right to do what he's been doing. First, he can define an emergency. Then he can declare an emergency indefinitely and continue to move the goalposts on what that emergency is. And furthermore, he can tell us without an argument what is essential and what is not. Okay? So those are the kinds of things that we're very concerned about. We're not questioning whether that's legal under the RCWs of Washington. We know it's legal. And the way we're going to modify, we're not modifying the proclamation, by the way. That's just not going to happen. We're going to come out with a letter of clarification to the residents of Selah, reminding them what the proclamation did not say. The proclamation did not say you can go break the law. Okay, you can ignore the governor's proclamation. We simply stated that we would not be enforcing it with the resources of the city of Selah. That's what we said. That's the basis of what we were saying. In our whereases in the proclamation, we did question the governor's authority. We did question the methodology with which they're coming to their conclusions and the logic, but we did not declare them to be illegal or unenforceable. Certainly, if the governor wants to send authorities into Selah, state troopers or sheriffs, and enforce the law, he can. We won't interfere with that ever, and we wouldn't encourage our residents to break the law. But we are telling them not to be afraid of city authorities.
Got to put up with my nonsense for a moment. I see
Sure.
a tank pulling into the Kings Road drive-through, and one person standing in front of it holding a cheeseburger, sort of a Tiananmen Square. No. Hey, look, Don, on the proclamation that we received a copy of from you folks,
Sure.
you guys made it very clear. My prior proclamation issued March 13th, which declared a state of emergency, remains in full effect and force. The state of emergency still exists. Municipal employees will take measured and prudent steps to reduce the potential exposure. Likewise, residents and business owners should do the same. That's all part of your original presentation. There is no run wild, willy-nilly, let her rip, Wild West. There was nothing in your proclamation. So while you guys maybe feel that a clarification letter is necessary, good on you. Never hurts to over communicate. I think you did a good job letting him know that you were talking about the resources of the city. The municipal workers of the Selah, including the police, don't work for the governor. So if the governor is going to do his thing, he's going to have to do it. That you guys aren't, but that you weren't sanctioning breaking of the law. I thought you guys did a good job, and it never hurts to talk more. So I'm glad you guys at least had that conversation, and maybe a little more clarity comes out.
Yeah. Right. And I have to do a hat tip to the city council. They're standing shoulder to shoulder with the mayor. They're a fine group of people. I think they understand the situation pretty well. And we had a very thorough conversation during our executive session with lots of questions, lots of questions answered. And when they came out of that, I think they were pretty determined to do what they did. With regard to the governors, to the answer to the governor, the letter that we received was curiously almost lifted from the same letter they sent to Franklin County, and we were scratching our head a little bit, wondering what's this about. I'm not sure that they really understood what Mayor Raymond's proclamation last Friday actually said. So our response, which is in draft today, will address that, and maybe we'll just ask them to read at an 8th grade level rather than a 5th grade level.
There you go. He didn't reference you as Selah City Administrator Clint Didier or something like that, did he?
No, it wasn't quite that bad, but they were accusing us of doing things that we just didn't do.
Yeah.
So we'll get back with them on that.
Don, have you heard from any of your citizens? Are they calling City Hall? Are they backing you guys?
Oh yeah, the vast majority are very, very supportive. Of course, there's the occasional person that is dead set against it, and it seems to be the majority of those are from far outside of our jurisdiction. So, but I think a lot of our argument and concern is not with Mr. Bursic. I think that the health district needs to be a little more accountable and explain their rationale and explain their methodology a little better. Because when this all started, guys, we were told that first 15 days we needed to slow the virus spread of the virus.
Right.
And then then it expanded to a month, and that was to flatten the curve.
Right.
And now we're needing to squash the virus entirely. The goalpost keeps getting moved.
Sure, yeah.
And is the next step we're not opening up until there's a vaccine, if ever? I mean, this whole movement to completely put our trust and confidence in our making our decisions based on what the doctors are telling us ignores the unavoidable discussion about commerce. Commerce is crushed during this period. The last 2 months, we will never get that lost productivity back.
No, you're
Even
right.
if we start full guns in July, that is 3 months that have disappeared from our productivity, profit margins. And it's not about money. It's about things getting made, hay getting cut, meat getting cut.
That's right.
It's never coming back.
Don,
we've lost it.
Don, when I was talking to our prosecutor, Joe Bursic, I said, that there's not a voice out there in the community. It doesn't seem like that's talking about what you're talking about right now. But I just realized you're that voice, it looks like. I mean, really, it's nice to hear somebody sticking up for the flattening of the economy. It's what's really happening, it seems like now,
And one key question, I know you guys report how many cases we've had and how many more deaths have been related to this particular virus. Well, when I talked to Mr. Fresco, I asked him, do you know how many people, and this is a rhetorical question because I knew the answer, do you know how many people have been exposed or infected to this by this virus? And he said, of course not. I don't. And but that makes the rest of the data almost useless because when you're making conclusions about mortality or numbers of ventilators, and you don't really know the denominator, than everything else, than when you make decisions to shut down the economy? This could be a ubiquitous virus that is out there in the community, widespread, is not nearly as deadly as they're saying it is. That could be the case. But we're using that rationale to destroy an economy.
Yep.
Boy, wow.
Yep.
Couple of points, Don. First of all, major props for you monitoring this situation and sharing Selah's point of view with us on the air. Thank you very much for
You're welcome.
your availability, and what an articulate way of presenting your points of view and your circumstances, Selah. So really a good job, and I really mean that sincerely. Second, speculate, if you would, how much is politics? I don't know what side of the spectrum you're on, but how much is politics playing a part in doing what's happening?
Let me throw a question at you, Dave. When is the last time you stood in line to buy a car? Okay? Now, all I know is I hear about Mr. Betterall, Steve Hahn, Brian and Bill Harris, Pingrave Ford. You know, these are stalwart businesses in the community, and they are being crushed. And let me ask you another question. How does Mr. Inslee feel about hydrocarbon burning devices in the state?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but
you would stand in line to buy one of those. Not.
And let me ask you another question. Why is a florist closed when you can go buy buds at the smoke shop, at the dope store?
You've answered my question, Don. Thank you very much. And you don't have to read between too many of those lines. I agree with you. I appreciate your clarity of thought on all of this. I guess it remains to be seen if what happens in our state, simply because the Democrats have the full authority and the governorship. So we kind of dance to their tune to a certain extent, other than we still have that constitutional right to civil disobedience, as you said. And then it's between the citizens of this state, the residents of Selah, Yakima, wherever, and the government and what they will do. So
and Dave, there's one thing I told you guys a lie the other day, okay? I said we were going to have great fireworks, and I think I left you guys thinking that it was going to be during community days. No, that's not true. That's going to be 4th of July. That's going to be our big blowout fireworks display. Unfortunately, everything for community days is canceled.
I was going to be sitting with my own baked potato on your street, looking at the sky and seeing nothing. So
sorry about that.
I'm glad you clarified.
Let me leave you guys with one thought, okay? The Japanese Americans in World War II, they were interned, and after 70 years of looking back on that, we know that although that was a wildly popular move by Franklin Delano Roosevelt and the federal government, they did it, and they violated those people's civil rights in the worst way possible. Are we going to look back on this time 10 years, 15, 20 years from now and say the same thing happened?
Yeah,
so
I think
that's an excellent point.
Yeah, that's right.
Don Wayman, administrator out there at Selah, thank you, sir. Appreciate very much your thoughts with us.